It's time now for The Splash on Civic Center TV. On this week's episode, we talk with Bill Berman, local philanthropist and businessman. Then West Bloomfield Fire Marshal Turnquist gives us some home safety tips you can use. And later, our very own George Moore talks to some local shoppers in West Bloomfield. The Splash is a production of Civic Center TV. We're a news magazine that covers everything from local news to feature stories, also that we can bring you the latest from the Greater West Bloomfield area. And now, let's dive into The Splash. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of The Splash. I'm your host, Jonathan Jackson. Our top story this week is on Bill Berman, a rather famous figure not just within West Bloomfield, but nationally as well. We sent our very own Penny Rubin to meet with him and learn all about the good that he's been doing within the community.
Businessman, builder, and philanthropist Mandel Bill Berman, a Detroit native, believes that all of us have an obligation to help the rest of the world and has dedicated his life to that pursuit. Through his work, he has made a large impact both nationally and internationally, including right here in West Bloomfield.
It was a dream of Madge and Bill Berman to create a place where there was excellent programming, like the programming you'd find at Lincoln Center or 92nd Street Y in New York, here in Michigan in their home for the community that surrounds West Bloomfield and Metro Detroit in general.
Opened in 2011, the Berman Center for the Performing Arts, located on the campus of the Jewish Community Center of Metro Detroit, was made possible through the active and ongoing efforts of Bill Berman and his wife, Madeline.
They have been so generous to the entire community, not just us here at the Berman, and what they do brings people together. It gets communities talking. And like all of Metro Detroit knows that these are people that really care about the arts, they care about values, and everything we do here is better. I mean, I wouldn't be standing here, neither would this building, if it wasn't for Bill Berman and Madge Berman.
Outside of West Bloomfield, Bill's philanthropy spans both national and international efforts, especially through the work of the Mandel and Madeline Berman Foundation, a private family foundation that funds Jewish organizations and projects, as well as local Detroit initiatives.
Bill wants to be involved on a very substantive level in his philanthropy and enjoys interacting with people of all sorts. He's not the type of person who sort of sits back and makes decisions about funding without meeting with people. I mean, he enjoys those sorts of interactions, and he enjoys trying to understand very deeply what the organizations that the foundation is working with are trying to accomplish.
I'm glad to say that where I work, usually I'm able to make a difference. And not just because I'm able to help financially, but because I care about those organizations. I'm a lucky guy. I seem to have the competence to help, and I'm grateful for that.
Bill Berman, a man of many talents, touches the lives of so many across the globe, including right here in our community, and works every day to help the rest of the world.
Our thanks to Bill and his wife Madeline for all the good that they are continuing to do both here and around the world. And if you'd like to visit or attend the Berman for yourself, well then head to civiccentertv.com/Berman. Our next story takes place at the West Bloomfield Fire Department, where Fire Marshal Byron Turnquist gives us some tips on how to keep your home safe over the next few months. The Splash's Cecilia Gallio has the story.
With spring in the air, Fire Marshal Byron Turnquist of the West Bloomfield Fire Department offers friendly advice to keep your home safe and up to date with fire safety.
With the change of clocks recently, it's always a good idea to change the batteries in your smoke alarms. Manufacturers also recommend that smoke alarms be replaced every 10 years. The sensors aren't as reliable.
Turnquist urges you to make sure alarms are in proper locations of your home.
Smoke alarms should be in every bedroom, on every floor, and outside of every sleeping area.
A tip he recommends is to press the test button on the smoke alarm to make sure they are operating properly every month. And when you test smoke alarms, it's a good idea to test your fire extinguishers.
Make sure that the gauge on it says it's charged and ready to be used, And then you can also tip the fire extinguisher upside down a couple of times, and you should feel the powder slide back and forth. If the extinguisher isn't charged or that powder's not moving, it's not going to work when you need it most.
Another tip Turnquist recommends is to have your home stocked with the correct number of fire extinguishers to keep your family safe.
The fire department recommends that you should have one fire extinguisher for every floor of your home. It's important to keep the fire extinguishers easily accessible and not tucked away in the back of closets.
He also suggests when you test your smoke alarms, it's a good idea to practice exit drills.
It's good to teach your children that when the smoke alarm sounds, they need to exit the home quickly and safely and report to one meeting place that's predetermined by the family. It's very important not to go back into the house if there is a fire. You can let the arriving crews know if somebody is still trapped in the house and where they might be, and we're better equipped to go in and look for them and get them out as quickly as possible.
With the temperatures getting warmer, Turnquist wants you to keep in mind barbecue safety.
It's very important that while using a barbecue, you have a fire extinguisher handy. Keep the barbecue clear of any combustibles, keep it away from the house. And just like cooking in the kitchen, you don't want to leave your barbecue unattended while it's being used.
Keeping your home's fire safety up to date can leave you with the peace of mind that your home is safe. Reporting for The Splash, I'm Cecilia Gallio.
Thanks, Cecilia. And we also want to thank Fire Marshal Turnquist for reminding us on how to stay prepared for such emergencies in case they occur. And if you want to learn more about West Bloomfield's bravest, visit civiccentertv.com/springfiresafety. Coming up, though, our very own George Moore hits the streets of West Bloomfield with a fun segment we're calling Sidewalk Talk. And later, we interview producer Kevin Walsh of the show Digging Detroit right here in the studio. All that and more after the break.
Civic Center TV celebrates our region's natural beauty, proud history, tremendous accomplishments, and more with Another Angle, a series featuring a unique bird's-eye view of our area's landscape. Watch Another Angle on Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
The best way to know when shows debut on Civic Center TV is to become a member. It's absolutely free. We'll send you a regular newsletter with all the latest updates. Just go to civiccentertv.com and click the Members tab. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Welcome back to The Splash. I'm your host, Jonathan Jackson. Well, it's now time for a segment we're calling Sidewalk Talk, where our very own George Moore goes out to talk with people in the Greater West Bloomfield area.
Hi, George Moore for Civic Center TV, and this is Sidewalk Talk. We're out here in the Greater West Bloomfield area, rain or shine, to find out things we want answers to. Why? Because we're nosy. When you're driving down Orchard Lake Road or any main thoroughfare in the area, what is your favorite speed to drive?
Whatever the other traffic's doing, usually 35, 40. Keep it safe because everybody's stopping and turning, so it just depends what everybody else is doing. So you usually get passed by people doing 50, 60, but I like to play it safe.
Thank you, Bill.
Probably 40, 45.
Get out.
Well, apparently I drive like an old man. And I always have drove like an old man, so pretty much 40 miles an hour wherever I go.
Orchard Lake, I know it's 45, and that's what I go.
My favorite speed to drive would be 50.
Like 40.
40?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say 35 miles an hour. My favorite would be a little more.
That I drive? About 45 to 50. I mean, in the neighborhoods. I mean, down these streets, 45 to 50. That's what I'm used to driving because I've been out here for 13 years.
Tell the truth.
Very fast.
Residents of Greater West Bloomfield area, we asked the questions, you gave us the answers. And that's what we wanted out here in the streets of the Greater West Bloomfield area. For The Splash, I'm George Moore. Sidewalk Talk.
Thank you, George. I'm fairly new to the area myself, and even I can tell how diverse the drivers in West Bloomfield are. But it's always fun catching up with the folks here in the Greater West Bloomfield area. and we enjoy getting to know all of you as well. You can watch more Sidewalk Talk at civiccentertv.com/Sidewalk Talk. Well, it's time now for a Civic Center event update. You can find out more on all the following events by visiting civiccentertv.com/events. It's a great tool to keep you up to date on everything going on in the Greater West Bloomfield area. So without further ado, let's get started. Did you know that Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital offers free tours for their greenhouse every Tuesday? Resident farmer Trevor Johnson does, and he leads the tour focusing on hydroponic growing techniques, basic plant care, crop harvesting, and much more. There are 2 tours available at 11 a.m. or noon, and the tour will last about 45 minutes. Tours are limited to 15 people a session, and registration is required 48 hours prior to the tour. On April 5th, the West Bloomfield Public Library is celebrating Lego Day. Come in and bring your child for some fun exercises and building activities. The event runs all day from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and is free to the public. As spring rain fills our wetland ponds, the frogs are out and about in large numbers. So come out and join the Friends of the Rouge on the trail and learn all about the calls of frogs during their frog hike on April 8th from 7 till 8:30 p.m. The program is free, but pre-registration is required for all adults and children. As part of the Music at Maine concert series, the West Bloomfield Public Library will host the Klezmer Fusion Band for 2 performances on Sunday, April 10th, 2016. The first performance will begin at 3 p.m. with the doors opening at 2:30, and the second performance will begin at 5 p.m. with doors opening at 4:30. Also, the shows will be held in the meeting room of the West Bloomfield Public Library and are free to the public. The West Bloomfield Library continues their popular film series discussion group facilitated by Dr. Tara Hayes from Oakland University with the film 12 Angry Men. Revisit this old classic with fellow film enthusiasts as you discuss its influence on filmmakers both back then and now. The meeting takes place on April 11th at 7 p.m. in the main library meeting room, and no charge is necessary. And that's a glimpse of what's happening around town. If you want to find out more of what's going on in your neighborhood, well then be sure to follow us at civiccentertv.com/events and look up our events calendar. Or you can stay tuned right here for up-to-date information on everything going on in the Greater West Bloomfield area.
Be sure to catch live coverage of Laker sports, up-to-date information on local events, and of course, non-stop music on 89.3 WBLD, the all-new Lakes FM.
I'm Stacy Pacini, caseworker for West Bloomfield Youth Assistance. West Bloomfield Youth Assistance provides confidential casework services to children and families living in the West Bloomfield School District. If your family or child is struggling, West Bloomfield Youth Assistance can help. For more information about West Bloomfield Youth Assistance programs and services, please visit www.wbyouthassistance.org or call 248-592-1278.
For years, Civic Center TV has been bringing you live coverage of local municipal meetings. The meetings are now available on demand at civiccentertv.com/meetings or watch the meetings again the following day on Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
All right, and welcome back to The Splash. I'm Jonathan Jackson. My guest on the show this week is Kevin Walsh, one of 3 producers on the YouTube show Digging Detroit, a series that discusses some of the lesser-known details of the Motor City. So, Kevin, how are you today?
Good, Jonathan.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. So, Kevin, talk to us a little bit about Digging Detroit, the show and what it is you do for it.
Well, I'm the mostly behind the scenes of the 3 producers. Thomas J. Reed Jr. and Pete Kalinske. We're all friends from Clawson. Actually, we grew up together, and all of us have day jobs. But about a year and a half ago, Tom got the 3 of us together and said he was thinking about doing a documentary on the series on the city of Detroit. So I said, well, why don't we try doing little pieces of it and just to see if there's interest out there. And so we started doing these little 15, 20-minute episodes, and we began with a speakeasy in Detroit, Tommy's Detroit Bar and Grill, and that was a huge hit, so I think Prohibition was a good opening.
Yeah, that's a big part of our history here in Detroit too,
right,
and
yeah.
like I said earlier, you guys are uncovering these secrets or just lesser known facts in the Motor City. So it's really great that you do that. You're going out and you're meeting all these folks and finding all this history and all that. So when you guys first started the show, though, like, what were some of your ideas that you really wanted to do, and have you done them already, or are you still working on them?
Well, we wanted to, maybe veer away from the obvious Motown and auto industry just to see what we could. Pete is a big historian. He teaches Michigan history. He's got his degree in Michigan history and his master's. So he's the guy you could take anywhere in the town and say, Pete, what happened here in 1825 at this corner? And he'd probably tell you. And so he was very interested in the whole French colonial days, as well as, the fact that Detroit was a fur capital, a stove capital, a tobacco capital. And people just didn't know that. And here you've got this New Orleans, St. Louis, and Detroit are really unique, that they're all about, twice as old as any other cities in the Midwest. And so stories just have been percolating toward us from real cool sources, and from people that just are fans of the city and want to see it succeed, and all ages too.
Exactly. And you can find the show on YouTube. That's a great platform to have it out there, so many people can see your show. And from there, I'm sure it's grown at least a little bit. From social media and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting. We have a website, diggingdetroit.com, and we put the videos on YouTube, but we also embed them on the site, and we also, thank you to you guys. You guys put our shows on the air as well as, in the Royal Oak channel too. CMN TV puts them out, and it's been interesting to track which angle of promotion works, and it's funny because the average time that people watch a 15-minute episode on YouTube is about 5 minutes as an average. You bring it up to our website and it doubles, and we take it to you guys, and people, 15 or 20 minutes is a short TV program on TV. Exactly. So it's been from that angle, not even a historical angle, from a social media and marketing angle, it's been interesting to see the results of that.
And also, you were mentioning to me earlier how much the show has grown, not just with you guys, but you're also trying to bring in youth and more folks into the show. You want to get a multi-generational sort of idea or perspective from many different folks. Can you talk to me a bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. Right now we don't make any money. We're less than nonprofit. We're negative profit. But what we do is, what we would like to do is perhaps get a grant or get a sponsor. And one of the things I'm real excited about doing is getting students to be the producers and directors and hosts of episodes. And I'm really a big fan. When I taught in West Bloomfield and Royal Oak, I like bridging that generational gap between teenagers and senior citizens. So one of the things we did at Southfield Lathrop, my day job, I'm at University of Phoenix in Detroit, and I'm a campus chair there. I worked with Southfield Lathrop and trained their students on how to do oral history recordings with seniors in Southfield. And we're going to put together an episode of Digging Detroit from that, about what Southfield was like in the 40s and 50s. And with that model, I'm reaching out to some of the students who are about to be honored April 23rd at the DIA for the Michigan Student Film Festival. And I gave a quick survey, and we've got about 7 or 8 students who would like to produce episodes of Digging Detroit there as well. So, ideally, if we can get some donor to perhaps fund some cameras and equipment, and pay some professionals to work with these kids and really train them on particular episodes. That's a real exciting angle, I think.
Exactly. You mean you could get folks who have been here for years with folks who've just maybe moved into the area, but all the while, you're getting a lot of different history and perspective from many different people.
Yeah, and I think media professionals want to help kids where they were. It's a very, very difficult field to get into, as you know. But if you can get that sponsor, or you can get somebody that believes in you, it's like an apprenticeship. When the old trades, you were an apprentice, and the students that I've had that have succeeded in Hollywood, they are the same thing. They have had that champion. And so if we can allow students to have champions who are editors and camera people and lighting, and historians. We've made some great connections with the Public Library, the DIA, the Historical Society, Wayne State, Michigan, and they're all very interested in working with kids too. So that's really the big picture for me.
All right. And so, too, one last question, too, just before we let you go. But what's next for Digging Detroit? What episodes are you guys looking to do in the near future? Because I know I just saw the Model T episode.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen it yet, definitely check that episode out. It was really good.
Thanks. Yeah, it was great. And we actually filmed that in September, but they close at the Ford Paquette plant during the winter, and April 1st they open again. So we delayed the release of that for their opening, which is this week. But the other thing, we've got the Arab American Museum in Dearborn. They gave us a great tour, and that's going to be our next episode in April. The aquarium at Belle Isle is going to take us on a tour. The DIA has got a preservation department that is top-notch in the world, and they've got some new equipment they got through a grant that they're going to share with us. We're looking at a lot of different angles like that.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I can't wait to see it, Kevin. And
Thanks.
I know our folks at home, if they're interested, definitely go and check that out for yourselves at diggingdetroit.com,
Right.
And also on their YouTube page, you can look it up on Digging Detroit, and they have multiple episodes there. So definitely check them out when you can. My thanks again to Kevin for coming on to the show. And just remember, catch his show whenever you can on YouTube or at their website, diggingdetroit.com. Thanks again, Kevin.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jonathan.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, well, it's time now for a segment we like to call Minute with Nature, featuring our park naturalist Lauren Azuri from West Bloomfield Parks and Rec. This week, she has a fun new update for us. Lauren?
Hello and welcome to Minute with Nature. I'm your host, Lauren Azuri, the park naturalist for West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation. And today we're inside our nature room, a room we use to teach people of all ages about ecosystems and nature in West Bloomfield as well as Michigan. The animal ambassadors call the nature room their home. And we have 4 of them that live here. There's a red-eared slider, which is an aquatic turtle, an eastern box turtle, which is a terrestrial land turtle, an eastern tiger salamander, as well as an eastern American toad. All of those different animals, in order for us to have them here at our nature room, require a permit from the Department of Natural Resources. And the permit allows us to use them so that other people can meet them, engage with them, and learn about those animals. So we use them as an education animal or an animal ambassador. Our box turtle, who's one of our favorite animal ambassadors, is actually a species of special concern. She's a land turtle that used to be brought out of the wild and brought into pet stores. And because of that, her population has been declining. She's a species of special concern, which is one step below endangered. So we have the permit in order to house her, and we use her to teach others about why it's important to choose your pets wisely and learn about the animal that you might take as a pet before bringing it home. Another animal ambassador we have here is our toad. Our toad is pretty neat because she has poison sacs on her back. A lot of people think that those bumps are warts, but 2 glands that are right behind her eyes actually are poison sacs to protect her from predators. If an animal were to pick her up and put them in her mouth, they might spit her back out because she wouldn't taste very good. Come to our nature room and visit all of these animal ambassadors and go outside and explore and meet some of the live animals that live here in West Bloomfield in our forest, our field, and our wetlands. And that's your Minute with Nature.
Thanks, Lauren. And you can visit these animal ambassadors for yourself in the nature room at the West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation Activity Center. We now turn to our other segment here on The Splash, our Person of the Week. This is where we acknowledge an individual within the community who is simply providing a good service toward others. This week's winner is elementary school teacher May Denha. May Denha is the ESL District Coordinator at Shaco Elementary in West Bloomfield. She's quite a staple within the community as she's been teaching within the district for over 20 years now. Her love for teaching as well as her students is quite apparent as each day she strives to make them laugh, learn, and grow. As an ESL teacher, she encounters students from all over the world, such as Italy, Japan, and the United Arab Emirates. Teaching English as a second language requires a lot of reading, which is what May likes to start each school day with. In the morning, all of her students sit together and read books that they are familiar with, then learn how to interpret dates and times through clocks or calendars, and perform some listening exercises, as well as doing a few writing tasks here and there. Although most of these students have 0 to very limited English speaking skills, by the end of the year, May helps bring their level of understanding up considerably, and that's just through half a day of teaching. With her dedication and love towards her students, it's no wonder that May Denha is our Person of the Week. And if you or someone you know is out there providing a service to our community, then let us know by sending an email to thesplash@civiccentertv.com. We want to congratulate those who are making a difference in our area, and we appreciate any and all suggestions. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but make sure to catch us every Monday for new episodes of The Splash and throughout the week for replays. Or you can look up episodes online at CivicCenterTV.com. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook under Civic Center TV for more information. For all our friends in Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, Kego Harbor, and of course West Bloomfield, I'm Jonathan Jackson, and we'll see you next time.